Alright, welcome everyone. This video is going to be right to the point, click and drag into the Alphas AIR TW. That was the biggest feature that was missing from the Alphas AIR TW, was a click and drag. It's a big surprise to me, but other than that, this reel is a complete home run. It's super great right out of the box. I did modify mine a little bit with different spools, bearings, and knobs, but it's a fantastic reel right out of the box. Biggest thing that was missing for me, like I said, and all the people have been saying, is the click and drag. So Sagisi Customs, they came out with a clicking drag set. I know that Ryan, he was working a bunch of different prototypes. He was posting on Instagram, and I've been messaging him for a while now, asking, hey, when's that going to drop? And he's like, hey, I got to tweak a couple things. So he thinks he finally got it right. I'm going to see if it works out good. I know he's done some testing with it, but pretty straightforward install. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. He does have on the website where you'd order it, I'll have that link down below. You just have instructions on there, and it's pretty step-by-step how to do it. It's pretty hard to mess up, but the video is easy to go along with, and also you'll be able to see my initial impressions of it, and then I'm going to try to get out on the water when I can. So stay tuned for that. All right, so it's pretty straightforward. The tools, 10 millimeter, that's what this is going to take. You're going to need a flat screwdriver, a 2.5 millimeter hex wrench, or like Allen wrench, what a lot of people call them. The frame screws, they don't take like your Phillips screws anymore. They take hex bolts, which is pretty nice. It's a lot harder to strip them as long as you're using the correct size. I got a little bit of grease to put on in the clicking part of the drag, just a little itty bitty tiny bit, and then some super glue to hold it in place. And before I super glue it, I'll use some alcohol, acetone, whatever you have, to clean where the glue is going to be going. So I'll jump right into that here. All right. To start out here, the two big parts are right in here with the sticker, and see it's heat sealed right here, and then that's where the clicker part and the spring is. So pretty good. So that way it's not going to fall out when you try to dump the big parts out. But before I open up this, I am going to get into the reel. Pretty standard teardown with this reel. You do have a standard or a flathead screwdriver, a lot of people call them, right here. So I'm going to take that part off. Pretty short screw. I like to lay them out in almost like you're reading. So like the first thing that goes down, and just keep going like this and keep going. So put here, put the retainer. This is a tool I got from Roro. It's a plastic thing. I know a lot of people, they say that it doesn't work that great. This is actually my first time using it, and I think Roro has updated this since it's first came out. And some people did say it was a little soft. Yeah, that thing's, I don't think that's gonna work. I'm gonna have to grab my socket, I think. Did that spin? Oh, it did. Okay, that worked. Never mind. It just felt a little different just because it was that polymer. So with the Alphas AIR TW, it is spring loaded underneath the drag star, so make sure that you hold your handle like this so it doesn't go flying off and you lose parts. And this isn't like a nut, it's more like a bolt that goes in. It's a little bit different. It has been on different Daiwa reels like the Stees and stuff. And there's a washer on the back of the handle, make sure that stays on there. Move that tool out of the way. Your drag star, spring. And with this, what's easy for me is hold the line guide. You can twist this off a lot of times. See, when it's left-handed, it's going to be reverse threaded too. If you're using a right-handed model, you're spin it the other way. I'm not really going to go into detail about taking reels apart and stuff. I do have other videos for that with a Tatula. So there's two drag washers in here, and they're going to be stacked differently. Then there's so there's tension there. And then there's a little washer on the back of this. So you can just try to keep all that together. Okay, so now all these parts are out. The bearing can come out, that bearing there, but it's not a big deal. So side plate comes off. Pretty standard. Take this spool out of there. And then there's 3 hex bolts. This hole here leads down to one that's right by between the line guide and the spool. Then there's one up here. So it's pretty standard. This reminds me of the Stees CT when I first took that thing apart. I was very surprised to see hex bolts. What I like to do, just because sometimes on reels they're different size. I don't know what they are on the Alpha, so I put them in the same manner. Like, so I had the reel up here, so that this bolt I put on the top, and then this one I'll put here, and that one there, just in case they are different sizes or whatnot. I'm not sure if they are or not. And pop that. And I've made quite a few review videos and been posting on Tackle Tour and all that kind of, and Instagram and stuff about the Alphas AIR TW. It's a really good BFS reel. I know that the price is a little bit higher than when I got mine when it first came out. I think people are just taking advantage of supply and demand and supply chain shortages from COVID-19, which is, it's unfortunate that people are doing that, but it's a really good reel. Like I said, the only thing that was missing for me was the click and drag, which has been hopefully answered. Seems like this is going to be a pretty good piece of equipment. I know that Ryan over at Sagisi Customs was working on it for quite a while and had a bunch of different prototypes, and just from the work that he does that I've seen on his Instagram page, I know he's got a lot of attention to detail and it should be a good product. So I'll just keep all this in here. It's pretty clean. I haven't noticed any roughness. It looks pretty clean too, so I'm not really, I might add a little bit of grease to the teeth, but I'm not really going to do a full maintenance breakdown on this. I will remove my yoke springs here, just in case that sometimes they fall off and I don't feel like tracking them down right now. So I'll set the main reel aside, and this is the part that's going to get replaced right here. This is what creates, when you tighten your drag, this pushes down and creates friction on this washer. So that's what adjusts the pressure on your drag. It's really smooth drag right out of the box. I will wipe off a little bit of this. Well, that doesn't matter because I'm not using it anymore. So now I take off this carbon fiber. This is like your drag washer. So I'll wipe this out on the outsides. That's what was suggested to do. So I'll wipe it off right now without any solution, just to get some of that loose grease off. And now I'll use a little bit. This is basically just rubbing alcohol, 70%. You could use acetone or whatever cleaner that you use. Just trying to get the grease off. I'll put a little bit too much on there. All right, just trying to get the grease off here so the super glue can stick. And then you use this other side to dry it and help wipe off any extras. But what's pretty sweet is that this part's made in the USA too. He makes it right in his shop that he does like Cerakoting, and he does some laser engraving and stuff like that too. So he did make it in-house. He had to go external, I think, to do some of the cutting. I'm not sure if he can do that in his shop. But anyway, it's pretty good. And this is the first product from him. Hopefully it's good, and then we can start to see other products too. Alright, so now I'm going to open this up. Looking back, I probably should have opened this up beforehand. But it should be a pretty straightforward package to open up. Big Ziploc. Got the smaller Ziploc in here. And let me see how to open up this part here. It looks like I might need scissors to cut that, or a knife. So I'll hold this. I'll have to end up using a screwdriver because I don't have a knife here. So I'm holding the two parts here so they don't go flying across the room. And it's all for nothing. Okay. So get these two parts out. Okay. And get these parts out. Do have my super glue ready. Oh, I just noticed that he laser engraved Hobie-Wan Kenobi on there. That's pretty cool. Probably because I've been bothering him about it for so long. And he kept giving me different start dates. I was prying and kind of pressuring him too because I was pretty excited for it. So I don't blame the guy. He said not to test fit it, so don't put it in there. You see how there's a ring that's on the inside here? I don't know if you can see that. So there's a ring that's in there. So I'm going to 2-ply. Let me look at his instructions. Here we go. Going through step by step by step. Let's see exactly. Seeing how I'm super gluing, I'm going to make sure I got it. I got it right. Okay, so it looks like he does it across. So if I do it here and here, that should work out. Very small super glue. Okay, then that fits in there. Looks like it was already. I don't know why that ring would be like that. It's kind of odd. Maybe they just kind of used a different cut from like the Steve CT or something. Okay, so very small amount of super glue in the basically between like the where the teeth are and that little wall there. So let's see. May not have come a little faster than I thought, and then. There's a small amount. There's a small amount. Okay, now I don't think there's an up or a down to this thing. It's pretty much the same. Oh, that is it. That's gonna be. That's a tight fit. I don't know if that's. Let me just push. It's all the way down. I had a little bit of extra super glue come up on that side. I did have a little bit extra, so let me just rub that off there real quick. Okay. Push that all down. I don't want to put too much super glue on there just in case I have to take it off for whatever reason. I think at this time, let me see. I can apply these gears are smooth. I will apply a slight amount of grease in the meantime. I don't have anything here. Let me see. Now I'm just going to break one of these. I don't want to apply grease with that because you get all the fuzzies in there. So let me... There. I'm just going to apply just a slight amount of grease on here. And just a little bit more. I'm going into the winter season right now. A lot of the streams are closed for me for trout fishing and ice fishing starting up. So I'm going to get back into ice fishing. Usually I don't really do too much ice fishing, but winter lasts so long where I live, it's kind of what I got to do to keep fishing. So I was going to put a little tiny bit. So on here, where this where the clicker goes in, I'm just adding the smallest amount of grease. So I know that some people with like their Aldebaran, the Scorpion, like other like clicking drag reels, that they've had issues when they over greased it. So just a little tiny dab. That's why I found it to be best. Okay. I'll do that, and if it needs more, I'll put more. I just don't want too much to be on there, and it just sounds like mud. Smooth that grease aside. So these two little pieces here, I learned the hard way when I was taking apart a Steve CT, not to lose those. So the spring inserts inside this hole. There would be a hole on this. Oh, okay, so the spring goes all the way inside there, as you can see. This makes it a lot easier than the Steve's, because it was like the spring stuck out a little bit, and it was kind of hard to get it inside the clicking system. Okay, so this is going to be probably a little bit easier, I think. Oh, I need to put my drag back in there. Okay. Now I am going to put the last part I'm going to, actually it should be the first part I'm going to put in is where the clicking part goes. Well, that was way easier than the Steve CT, I can tell you that. Let me see something. I think once it gets set, it's going to sound a little bit better and I run it in. Okay. All right, I will put this back together now. Same way you took it apart. Hold the new washer down. Slowly slide that back in there. Not to jam any teeth together. Yoke springs. Okay. One one thing too, you might be able to stretch that spring out a little bit if you want some louder sound. That's just me thinking, but I don't know if it's going to be recommended. It did say it's tuned to have your drag peel out the smoothest, which that's what I would rather have, is smooth. Like, just if I get enough sound that I know it's just enough sound that I know it's peeling out. Sometimes when you're in streams and you have like running water and there's different depths and all that kind of good stuff, you don't really know how much line you have out. So that audible clicking, it just helps you know how much line is pulling out. That's what I like about it the most. I mean, there's the fun factor, and it does sound fun, but yeah, I should make sure. Yeah, so your spool, basically what's connected to your spool tension knob that applies tension to these free-floating spools like this. There's a plastic rod, and that goes inside your pinion gear, so make sure that's in there too. Alright, so okay, that's set. So I'm going to hold this, I'm going to put these screws back in. I don't know how it's going to sound. It didn't sound too loud when I had it, when I was just testing it there before I put it back in the reel, but it also wasn't all lined up either, so who knows what it's actually going to sound like. I hope it's louder than it is, than what I just tested it as, because that will not be a big improvement at all. But I'm hoping that it sounds better when I put the reel back together. Get this back down. And usually I don't really buy aftermarket parts for my reels, other than if it's like strictly performance, like say a BFS spool, or like, you know, just a different spool, or sometimes I'll buy longer handles too, because I don't like when reels come with, like bass reels come with small handles. I don't mind them for BFS reels, but for the Alphas, which is kind of odd because it's my favorite BFS reel, like out of the box or even tuned, I decided just to get like those wood knobs for it. And this clicking drag it's both for just for tuning my reel a little bit. It's not really necessary, but for me, I really like having that clicking drag. Like I said, I can tell how much line's coming out, and also it's really fun when you're fishing for big bluegill and they're just peeling out drag. It sounds really cool too. So, all right, now I just go follow my order again. I shouldn't have to mess with anything. My washer's still on there. My 2 tension washers are in there. I just gotta make sure everything gets seated down correctly. This washer goes on top of those 2 washers that are kind of shaped like potato chips. That's puts that tension on when you're tightening up your drag. That goes onto that washer. I'll show you here once I. Yep, it's reverse threaded, so I got to remember that. I like to spin it to the, like, loosening it until it kind of seats down, and then I tighten it up by hand. That way I know I'm not cross threading it, because this is plastic nut right here. So if you try to force it on there hard, it's going to cross thread, and that just causes issues when you're adjusting your drag. Because this is actually, your drag is adjusting this nut that's on here. Let's tighten that down. Yeah, this is what this whole stack right here is applying pressure to, and this just makes it even along that that carbon fiber drag washer. Put that there. You kind of seat. You have to twist it around a little bit, but then you seat your drag star. Make sure your fingers are on the long sides of this. I guess it would be like an oval shape that's on there. So that way your handle, make sure your washer's on there. You put your handle down without your fingers getting into the way. Your tension nut here, or your bolt I should say. It's for hold your handle on. And you don't need to make this super snug. And one tip is, one of the flat spots of the head of the bolt here have to be lined up with the hole here, or a point has to be. That way your handle retaining washer, which is this, it'll go on. Otherwise, if you don't really Oh, that's the 11. Probably help if I use the 10 millimeter. And if you don't, because you don't want to be messing with this too much, because especially if you're using like a metal socket, you can get a bunch of marring on there. Then you can see like the black coating comes off. Let's do a little bit more. Okay, that looks to be about lined up. Oh, a little bit more I have to do. Okay. I should be testing this before I put this out, but you got to be confident going into it sometimes. You just go all the way. I know I've done, so with my Aldebaran BFS, I put it all the way back together just to realize, what did I do? I think I put like the yoke on backwards for like the, I can't even think right now. The pinion gear, like the yoke that goes on there, like where those two springs came off. All right, now let's get this on. Okay, that's tight. Put the spool back. I don't want to rotate my handle too much without a, oh, there's a feather. I don't want to, you don't want to rotate your handle too much without a spool in there because your gears aren't going to be perfectly lined up and you can be causing issues doing that. All right, moment of truth right here. Loosen my drag up a little bit. Oh, there we go. That's what I'm looking for right there. And one thing I noticed, let me see. Yeah, so this is the Scorpion. It's definitely louder, but as you can see, like, look how choppy that is with the handle. And I'm not saying this is not a smooth drag, but it definitely takes away from the smoothness of the drag a little bit. And with this one, it's almost like a spinning reel drag, if that makes sense. Like, spinning reel drag is still really, really smooth even with the clicker. Yeah, that's nice. I don't know what the durability is going to be, but that's just enough I need. I can feel it in my hand too, just barely. So that'll help me know how much drag's peeling out. Yeah, that's nice. I mean, I can't complain about that. Yeah, that's pretty smooth. It's not as loud as you'd expect, but that's enough for me. Like, I can definitely hear that coming through, and it's super smooth still. Like, it doesn't take away from the drag that much, if really any. Like, no functional really amount of drag coming off there. This is a Shimano style. This is like the 15 Aldebaran. It's a saltwater version. This has a clicking drag too. And this is much louder, but you can, like, just like with the Scorpion, I can feel like and almost like it sets into place, like a click 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 click, versus this, like the drag on here. It's less sound, but it's smoother. So I bet it is because the Shimano reels that I've messed with, they have more, the spring has more tension on there when you put the clicking drag back together. So maybe it's something to do with the make the spring tension on here. So I don't want to experiment with it because I'm content with this. But if you order this kit and you want more sound out of it, I bet you can stretch that spring a little bit to get a little bit more clicking sound out of it. You might just take away from your perceived smoothness of the drag a little bit. Like I said, I don't know if it's enough to really matter on the water. He makes it in the U.S. He machines it. I know he designed it in-house, like in his custom place. I don't know if he makes it there or not. I don't know if he'd have the machinery to make it. But either way, he designed it. It's made in the U.S. So I figured, hey, give it a shot. Got a t-shirt from him too. I figured you may as well support him. He's doing a lot of things that we wish that we were able to do, make custom reel parts. So I am hoping that the price goes down a little bit. I think it was like $87, which seems kind of steep, but for the price you get the Alphas AIR TW at, it's still, I mean, even if you put the drag clicker in there, it's still far less expensive than the Steez. It performs way better, I think. It's a lot smoother, casts about the same. Yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe down below. Also, ask some questions. I know that there was a couple comments that were out there. I know on Rar's page he posted a link to the drag clicking set, and he's like, hey, what do you guys think about it? And I said I was getting it. Got it in. It's great. I know there's a couple people that are on the fence. So hopefully this video helps make up your mind. I hate sitting in that halfway point of like, hey, do I want this? Do I not? And I look up a bunch of research, I can't find information. That's why I'm making these videos, just make sure I can take whatever research I found in my time and I could just condense into one easy spot for you guys to see. So if you want to see more of that, comment down below what you want to see. Thanks.